Hey everyone, it's me, Yvonne Emile Elizondo from Silver Moon Astrology and Transpersonal Counseling, also known as Silver Moon Counseling. And wow, things got really blurry there. Sorry. Maybe I should do this again. Nope, they're filthy. How about we just stay blurry? Anyhow, I hope I can read the astrology correctly since, things are blurry. And that's why I'm here, because we have a full moon coming up, an Aquarius Super Full Moon coming up on August the 8th. I think that's Tuesday, 8:32 p.m., if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check the time right now, but I wanted to share, some ins and outs of what this full moon could potentially entail. This is an air full moon. It's fixed air. And so fixed air is sometimes struggles to move, around, kind of like stagnant air. And that in and of itself creates a lot of really awesome qualities, but also some qualities that could get us in trouble. So let me show you the chart. And I always, here's the thing with Aquarius. I always feel like Aquarius vibes are kind of like stainless steel, right? Like, I don't know, it's cool and it's sophisticated and it's awesome. And then it's cold and detached and kind of difficult to read sometimes. But all right, here's the chart. Let's take a look. Yes, 1:31 p.m. Tuesday, August 8th. Do not pay attention to the houses. This is just my local time. We're just going to focus on the connections or the aspects between the planets. So here we have Aquarius. So here's the Aquarius full moon. Here's the full moon in all her glory. And then on the opposite end, we have the sun in Leo. This is what makes it a full moon. So I want to talk about the full moon, okay, how that could potentially manifest. But the other placement that we really need to look into is, if the moon is in Aquarius, okay, we need to take a look at the owner of Aquarius, which planet owns Aquarius, feels the most comfortable, and see how they're doing to help us determine the state of that planet. And so Saturn owns Aquarius and Capricorn, but we're just going to talk about Aquarius. And so Saturn is retrograde in Pisces. And for this full moon, Saturn will be opposing Mercury in Virgo. And it's moving beyond the opposition, okay, to Mars. So there's still a bit of influence there, not too much because they're out by degree. But yeah, so I did want to mention that. And then, of course, we cannot forget that Venus is retrograde in Leo, right where the sun is. So we have some things to talk about. Okay, let me stop sharing here. All right, let's first start off with this full moon, okay? So I'm trying to keep track of what I just said that I have to talk about. So I'm hoping I'll remember. Okay, so let's talk about the full moon. So the full moon is literally when the sun is, shining all the light on this beautiful Luna. She's in all of her glory. She's amazing. We can see her in the sky. She's beautiful, especially coming up the horizon. All right. And so the full moon is about expressing. It's about putting it out there. Okay. So if you were born on a full moon, you might naturally want to be expressive. Okay. Wherever you're putting it out there. All right. So it is about expressing, the full moon. With the light of the full moon, we can see, right? Even at night, when there's a dark moon, we can't see very well. But if there's a full moon, it's kind of like a big shining, torch, just kind of lighting everything up. And so the full moon is a time of exploration. It's a time of release. It's a time of, having the opportunity to really understand and have some insight about what's going on around us. So it is a wonderful time to do magic work, okay, because you're taking that energy of releasing out into the world. It's also a time for checking in on yourself and asking yourself, okay, what is it that I need to, maybe pay attention to in my surroundings, in my life, in my relationships, in my career, whatever it may be. So I love the full moon. Who doesn't love the full moon? Things get wacky during the full moon. I don't care. You don't need statistics to know. Just ask any ER nurse or doctor, and they're going to tell you that during a full moon, things get wacky in the ER. So, all right. So that's the full moon. It is a wonderful time to work your magic juju. So now let's focus on Aquarius and what the Aquarian theme is about. So as I mentioned, I think I mentioned Did I mention that it's air quality and it's fixed? So it feels like it doesn't move around a whole bunch. So that gives it a persistent slash stubborn quality. Okay. Persistence and stubbornness are a very fine difference between the two, right? So Aquarius represents air. It's very much involved in the mental capacity. In other words, it focuses and processes life with that mental cognitive component in mind. So Aquarius energy is very much about a vision. Okay. And it's a visionary energy. It likes to move beyond the boundaries of Saturn. Okay. It likes to move. Saturn rules it. Saturn's like the boundary. It says, okay, stay still. And Aquarius is like, no, it's the rebel. It's the visionary. It's the genius. It's thinking outside of the box. It's stepping outside of the boundaries. And that's what visionaries do. Visionaries are able to conceptualize, okay, outside of the box that they may find themselves in. So this is a very visionary type of full moon. Now, here's the other thing. It is a super full moon. And just in the very brief explanation of that, it has to do with the elliptical of the moon and how close it gets to the earth and so forth. And so we are going to have 3 moons in October. I'm ready for fall. You have no idea. I'm so ready for fall. But since we're still in August, let's talk about August. So there's going to be 3 moons. There's going to be 2 full moons. The second one's going to be a super full moon as well, and a blue moon. Okay, so yeah. And then, of course, we have the new moon in between those two. So it is a pretty special month as far as luminaries go, okay, with the sun and the moon, the 2 luminaries playing out in the skies. But okay, so this Aquarius energy for this full moon, I think it's going to be about, communicating. Okay, now Aquarius energy it's great at communicating when it feels engaged, but it doesn't communicate from a heart-based perspective. It processes life through the mental capacity, right? It thinks its way through life. It thinks its way through emotion. And so with this visionary energy, sometimes this energy struggles connecting with the heart, okay? Please don't go around saying that I say that Aquarian people are heartless. They're not, okay? I know some really nice Aquarius people, but they will tell you sometimes there's a detachment that happens, and they're the ones that have to stop and really learn to focus on how to express themselves emotionally. So, okay, that's a big part of what this full moon, I think, is going to entail. Now, we talked about Saturn. Okay, Saturn rules Aquarius. Saturn's in Pisces, and I like Saturn in Pisces because it kind of it brings some solidity to that very fluid, water of Pisces. But at the same time, Saturn is Earth, and so Saturn in water sometimes has a difficult time finding the grounding that it normally would. Now, besides that, Saturn is opposite of, it's opposing backtrack. Mercury is opposing Saturn. They're opposition, okay? But Mercury, okay, in Virgo is opposing Saturn. Now, Mercury in Virgo is very strong because Mercury belongs in Virgo, okay? It owns Virgo and Gemini, but we're not talking about Gemini. We're talking about Virgo. So Mercury is very strong right now in Virgo. And what's happening is that this Virgo energy with Mercury represents the mind and communication, okay? It tends to have the need to look into the details, to really dive in deep into the weeds. It likes all of the information. It really enjoys gathering all of this data. However, once you get that data, you have to interpret or infer this data. And so Saturn and Mercury, sometimes that inference of that information can come with the lens of negative Nancy. Saturn, when Saturn touches Mercury in this way, sometimes it can be more of a pessimistic perspective, okay? It can look at the challenges. It can look at why things aren't going correctly. And so Virgo, that Mercury in Virgo likes to look at the details. Be careful, because you might fall into looking into too many of the things that could potentially go wrong with this visionary beautiful visionary full moon. Okay. This visionary is about going out there and trying and risk taking and just allowing yourself to go beyond the boundaries, but you may talk your way out of it. Okay. You may think your way out of it because of this Mercury opposite or opposing Saturn. Now, I kind of mentioned a little bit that Saturn and Mars are in opposition. Saturn's opposing, Mars is opposing Saturn, but they've moved away a bit. So that conflict that we were feeling last week and maybe the week before, where we kind of felt like we were spinning our wheels and we weren't getting anywhere and there was frustration and there was like stagnant energy, we're moving away from that. So you may start to feel more of that liberty, okay, a little bit more slowly, that what you were trying to achieve, you're kind of starting to kick up again, right? That energy is starting to move. So totally hit that. Okay, last thing here. Okay, let's talk about Venus and then we'll put this all together. So Venus is in Leo and she is officially now retrograde, and she will be traveling retrograde until September the 3rd. And then from September the 3rd-ish, okay, moving forward, she'll finally be out of Leo October 7th. But right now, Leo loves to be loved. Leo enjoys affection and enjoys connection and enjoys just being seen and being accepted, and just enjoys just that essence of like, I shine, I'm perfect. Okay, I really want to be, valued. And Venus is the love factor. It's our self-worth. It's how we connect with people. It's how we connect intimately. Venus in Leo, when she's retrograde, can become very needy. She can become, she can become lackluster all of a sudden if she doesn't feel like she's valued or paid attention to. And so she might get feisty, all right? She might not feel very confident, and she might create drama when this happens. Also, stuff from the past may come up when Venus is retrograde, and it's about the heart, okay? Now, let's put this all together, because this Aquarian full moon, okay, is the visionary. It's about thinking outside of the box. There's this tendency of wanting independence and wanting to just express yourself and not really worry about the feels of, how this expression happens. So you may find that this is a great time to sit down and envision what you would like to manifest into the future. Okay. This is an opportunity for you to think outside the box. All of those things that are holding you back, all of those reasons that Mercury and Saturn are potentially, throwing your way, saying, no, that's not going to work. No, that's not going to work. Oh, don't even go there. That's going to hurt. That's going to be painful. Don't do that. Stop. Okay. Because this is the energy that this full moon is bringing up. All of this is coming up, but because it's a visionary full moon, it's an independence, expressive full moon, right? It wants you to find a way to express yourself, okay, by working through all of the reasons that you think you cannot either express yourself, move forward in life, create a beautiful opportunity for you, start that project that you wanted. All right, whatever it may be, the full moon is saying, yes, please do it. Saturn and Mercury are like, well, these are the reasons why you shouldn't do it. That's what we need to work through. Okay. So be very cautious of the things and the way that you're talking to yourself. Now, this is a really cool experiment that I did. And I got it from one of my clients and one of my gal pals that I work with. And she had, I think a therapist said, take a picture of yourself when you were a child. Okay. Take a picture of yourself when you were a child, and put it somewhere, frame it, put it in your bathroom mirror, put it in your, on your dresser, and really take a look at how you would talk to this child. Like, we would probably not talk to this child in the picture the way we talk to ourselves as adults now. We would probably not be very Mercury Saturn, right? Mercury Saturn is, oh, you didn't do this right. You can't do this right. Why did you do this? We wouldn't talk that way to the child in us. Okay. We would be loving. Okay. So I love this experiment because I've been doing this. And every time I look at my picture, and I'm looking at her right now, I see the potential of what this soul energy brought into life. And I'm like, wait, I'm still that person. I'm still that soul in a different body, obviously, because, things happen and gravity starts to take, a hold as we get older, but I'm still that divine essence in there. And so how dare I treat myself in such a negative way? I have to love myself. I have to have that sense of self-worth, self-esteem, and self-confidence. So this moon, I feel, is asking you to step outside of those negative, mindsets that you have created for yourself, whether it's about the world, whether it's about you yourself, or both. It's about stepping outside of that and recognizing that there's potential in everything that you do. So, final aspect here that I think, might happen is if we tend to have more of that miscommunication, because we have this Saturn, Mercury opposing Saturn, miscommunication and negative perception of that communication. Guess what? Venus, the love goddess, is like, okay, let's just mess with relationships. Why not? I'm already retrograde. It's already whatever. Let's just do it. Okay. Be mindful of your relationships and how you're connecting with people. So be mindful of the expression and what you're putting out there for your relationships as well. And this negative energy can definitely impact not only your relationships, but the functionality of you in those relationships and the functionality of other people that are potentially impacted by the ripple of, these relationships. So again, I think for me, this full moon feels like break free from these bonds that you have created for yourself. Just make sure you know what the bonds are and how they could affect your relationships and your heart. And that's what this full moon is about. All right, everyone. If you want to learn more about your astrology, you can find me at silvermooncounseling.org. That is silvermooncounseling.org. And this is a great time to sit with yourself, write out your intentions, okay, about the vision. Oh my God, I ask this of my clients, and I think sometimes this question kind of discombobulates people. I ask them, what's the best version of you, right? Like, what is the best version of you that you want to become? All right, this is the question that you should ask yourself during this full moon. What's the best version of me, and where am I blocking myself with that Mercury-Saturn piece? Where am I absolutely blocking myself, and how can I open my heart, that Venus retrograde? Okay, how can I open my heart so that I become that better version of me? All right, everyone, that's it. I'm done. Okay, take care and blessed be.